Good morning, it's November 19th, and this is To My Liberal Friends. Well, yesterday I talked about Democrats not getting why they lost the election, and there's still no evidence that they understand why the American people voted the way they did. But I can give you some clues. The election was pretty much called that night, and still Kamala Harris refused to come down and speak to her supporters. By that time, she should have made the call to Trump congratulating him, and then spoke to the people who had gathered for hours at Howard University. But instead, she sent a spokesman down and said she would speak the next day. She waited until later in the day to make that appearance. When Kamala Harris finally conceded after Donald Trump's decisive victory, she defiantly proclaimed, quote, "While I concede this election, I do not concede the fight that fueled this campaign. That is a fight I will never give up," end quote. What is she talking about? The Harris campaign focused on only two topics. Donald Trump is an unhinged, unstable, dangerous fascist, and second, unfettered abortion is good. She was fluent about that and committed to those concerns, but what else was fueling the fight? When Harris ran for president in 2019, she vigorously supported decriminalization of illegal aliens, opposed fracking, offshore drilling and fossil fuels, condemned the border wall, immigration and customs enforcement deportations, and putting more police officers on the street. She opposed all of that. She endorsed a mandatory buyback for assault weapons, opposed the death penalty for cop killers, promoted a bail fund that helped free violent convicts, and advocated free health coverage, including gender reassignment surgery for illegal alien detainees, and abolishing the filibuster to pass the Green New Deal. That's what she really stood for. Well, during the campaign, she pretended she had not taken any of those positions and spoke about joy and a new beginning, about turning the page. When pressed on a couple of the issues, she pretended she had changed her mind or never taken those positions. I mentioned yesterday that DEI had become a major issue with voters. Throughout her career and as vice president, she also strongly supported diversity, equity, and inclusion, reparations, transgender rights, and all of these left-wing ideas. On the campaign trail, she avoided talking about those issues as well. I suspect that Bernie Sanders was right and knew all along that Harris was just saying what she needed to say to get votes, not how she really felt about the issues. Instead, she feigned changing her positions, or more often deflected and refused to discuss her positions. She was fixated on her faux middle-class upbringing in California, her lawn, Trump bad, abortion good, turning the page and not going back. She often added some version of her all sides bromide that, quote, Israel had a right to defend itself, and how does it matter? Blamed inflation on corrupt corporations, offered price controls, and a child tax credit. If we're being honest, which I'm trying to do, Harris was a terrible candidate. She would not answer questions and revert to her word salad responses, which forced CBS to clean up her remarks in an attempt to help her. In the liberal media, they were having a meltdown and blamed everyone but the candidate. MSNBC host Joe Scarborough and Al Sharpton blamed racism and misogyny of Hispanic and black men. Despite efforts by Barack Obama and other Democrats to browbeat minority men into voting for Harris because she's a woman, Trump won 55% of Hispanic men and 21% of black men, both more than any Republican in about 50 years. Progressives, including MSNBC's Joy Reid and Alex Wagner, claimed that Harris ran a flawless campaign. Reid's proof is that rapper Queen Latifah endorsed Harris. Not sure how that means anything, but Joy Reid says a lot of things that mean nothing. Wagner blamed the loss on Harris being a mixed-race woman. Those two view racism in every issue that comes out. What these pundits on CNN and MSNBC have failed to realize is that in a nation we are center-right. Polling showed that 70% thought the country was headed in the wrong direction and 83% wanted substantial changes. Since Harris could not think of anything she would have done different than Biden, that spelled doom for her. Thank you, ladies on The View. Democrats remain tone-deaf to the people. Just 37% of voters are very concerned about climate change. Americans don't want DEI. 70% of voters are concerned about crime. Even in liberal California, more than 70% voted to repeal laws that decriminalize theft below $950. Far-left Los Angeles and Oakland threw out Soros-supported district attorneys. Harris, a Los Angeles, California resident, refused to disclose her vote on these issues. According to the Fox poll, 2/3 of voters favor reducing the number of immigrants allowed to seek asylum, and 44% favor deporting illegal immigrants. 54% thought transgender rights had gone too far, and 47% opposed gender-affirming care for minors. Harris told us her values have not changed. In their reactions, most Democrats are making clear that theirs too have not changed. If they continue to troll Americans as garbage, deplorables, misogynists, and racists, it's unclear how they expect things to improve for them, and that's fine with me because they'll keep on losing elections. This has been To My Liberal Friends. Thanks for listening. If you enjoy the podcast, on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. Follow me on YouTube, on TikTok. But if you go to YouTube, you really can't get the better subscription.